Well, we got a little bit of a bounce in vet. Not a whole lot, but beggars can't be choosers at this point. This is where vet is on the daily chart right now. A little bit under this level of support of roughly 0.27. And this is where we got a little bit of a bounce over the last 24 hours. We got down to a low slightly below 0.025 and then have seen this bounce. Now, of course, if you've been watching my videos lately, then you're quite aware of this downtrend that we have been experiencing since December in vet, with a high, a low, this is a lower high, a lower low, lower high, lower low kind of deal. So definitely in a downtrend. You could even see over the last few days, the downtrend has even gotten steeper to something like this. So, like I said, beggars can't be choosers with a vet. Vet is not the only one. Not picking on vet. I own vet, like vet, hold vet, looking for good things in vet. So, not picking on vet in this video. ADA's down, Ethereum's down, Doge is down, Solana's down, Avalanche is down, so forth and so on. And that's just because we're experiencing drawdown, correction, retracement, whatever you'd like to call it, from Bitcoin after it hit its high of 49,000 after the ETFs were approved. Bitcoin had been in this rising channel since December, popped out of the top aggressively once the ETFs were approved, and has since tumbled on down. In my earlier videos around the middle of January, you could see that price was challenging the bottom of this upward rising channel in Bitcoin, and I called for a fall to 40,000. I thought we would at least tap it. We almost did that day, almost did this day, and then we checked back later that same day, we went completely through 40,000, and that's kind of where we have been at ever since. The little bounce for vet that we've seen here, it looks almost, look at it, almost looks just like the bounce of Bitcoin. And so that just goes to show that right now the altcoins are following Bitcoin, and Bitcoin is why we're seeing this downtrend in vet. Okay, so what's ahead? Excuse me, what's ahead for vet? Well, we really need to ask the question, what's ahead for Bitcoin? I don't know. Okay, it was pretty clear here that we were going to hit 40,000. Now I'm not really sure what we're going to do. It's kind of a big range. Here's kind of the range I think we'll be in for the next little while. Okay, that's from about 35,000 to 43,000. Well, that's a big range, you might say. It is, and it's because there's really no impetus to go higher than 43,000, but we could get a relief bounce off the bottom of this channel. But I do think we're going to still have some lower prices coming up. I think we're going to continue sinking lower. I just don't know how quickly or what the path the market's going to take. Nobody does. We just can't look and say, oh, the market's going to bounce up to here and go down here on this day and bounce up to there, but you just can't do that. You got to kind of look for patterns and overall views. But I will say this, and I said it in my last video, I think we'll hit 30. Let me say it this way. I think we'll hit 36,000 before we hit 46,000. Okay. I even really think we'll hit 35,000 before we hit 45,000. I just think we have more sinking to do down into Bitcoin, into this 34 to 38,000 range, this gray range. What that means for vet is this: we still could get a bounce. Like I said, if Bitcoin bounces up, then we'll get a little bounce there. We'll break this trend line, which we kind of already have. I'm not really worried about this trend line here on vet. I'm not worried about any of it. That's a bad way of saying it. Not concerned about tracking price against that. This is the trend line we will have to break to make higher highs in vet. This trend line here, because it's just so definite, it's so easy to see. We're not the only ones that are going to be seeing this trend line, right? So we want to be looking at what others are looking at, and others are going to be looking at what's obvious. This is obvious. So vet has to get above that trend line, and it really needs to get above 0.03. This is a very important level for vet, and as long as we're below it, the downward pressure still exists. 0.03 is important. First of all, because it's a round number, and vet deals in very precise numbers, right? So we pay attention to 0.03 as humans, not 0.0286871, right? So 0.03 is very important. All of us will be watching 0.03, but that's not the only reason. If I zoom out to this channel on VET right here, that started back in May of 2022, you can see we've got kind of a downtrend channel here with a downtrend top and bottom made from a high, lower, high, high, low, lower, low, kind of all that, okay, downtrend. We did pop out here in October, right? But we have entered back in January. So this trend line, if I zoom in and continue to zoom in, coincides very nicely. Here's that trend line, this one right here, with 0.03, okay? It intersected back here, and it still coincides very nicely here. So that's the reason I say for VET to start making moves higher, we're going to have to get out of this trend line, get above this trend line, and above 0.03. Those are three things that must happen before we can set up and rebase for hopefully higher highs. Will that happen in 2024? I hope so. I don't know. I'm not a visionary like that, but I can tell you that's what has to happen. We've got it took time to build this downward structure. It's going to take time to build the upward structure to get us out. Until then, we are experiencing downward pressure and will continue so. If Bitcoin gets below 38,000, VET could very well fall down to this 0.02 level. Somewhere around here, roughly. It's an art, not a science. Something like that. Maybe even lower. This would be fine. Minus it falling out and going right back in these days, this is fine. So if Bitcoin gets down to this level, right? I should have made it the same color. VET could very well get down to this level. So it's all going to depend on Bitcoin right now. And we'll just have to watch for a bounce. Don't be fooled here. If we get a bounce up, if we get some relief, that would still be a lower high. Here's the last high. You might could count this one as a high, but I wouldn't. This is the last high. So even if we go here and there, that's still a much lower high, which opens us up still to a much lower low. So until we get above this trend line, that's the next step for any recovery on VET. Until that happens, we will be experiencing downward pressure. All right, that is my update on VET. I hold VET. I want VET to be up to $1 billion by tomorrow. It's not going to do that. I just hope you understand that I'm not trying to be negative about any of the crypto or VET, but I just have to look at what the chart is showing, and it's very clear what we've got. All right, y'all stay tuned. I will keep you updated on VET and other coins in the market. Take care.